So let me ask you one last question before we wrap up this session is, so what do you think of pastor's role? I know as a Christian, we all have our responsibility and we need to, but I'm not sure if this is correct, but pastors maybe have a little bit more responsibility on how they engage, because a lot of people are going to follow the lead of pastors, of their pastors. So what do you think your role as a pastor is on, because you need to be there. You need to have, because if people don't see the pastor putting in there, then they might get confused on how they should react to this. So it's difficult from your perspective, but what do you think the pastor's responsibility is on leading good conversations on social media?
I think a pastor's responsibility is to think very carefully and to tread carefully. It'd be so easy for me just to throw my own political ideas out there all the time, and it would offend a large portion of people that come to my church. And at the end of the day, I realize that my church is full of people who are going to vote Republican and Democrat. My church is full of people who are going to wear masks or not wear masks, or get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. And so it is a challenge, and it's something that I wrestle with. And Tim, I'm not sure that I do a great job, because I have some pastor friends, and every single day they're posting, very, very honest, raw, explicit things that I agree with, and they're creating debates, and for good sometimes and for bad. I want to get that figured out, and I think it's something that every pastor has to wrestle with and pray through and decide for themselves. I don't want to be one of those pastors that never speaks up and never takes a stance on anything. At the same time, I also don't want to be that guy that has to take a stance on every single thing. And that, for me, was kind of the deciding factor on how much or how little I was going to post. Is I do feel that if I start posting a lot, then I owe it to people to post almost every single time something comes up, especially if it's on the other side of what I was talking about the previous time. And that would be exhausting to me. And so, again, as a pastor, I personally try to focus on what I can do to build my congregation up and try to make it as positive as possible. But I also leave in room for there to be times where I need to speak to something that needs to be corrected in culture, or point out something that's dangerous that's going on around us.
Yeah. I think for the past 18 months or so, with the culture becoming more divided, I've thought about and prayed for pastors more than I've ever have in the past, because of this divide within their congregations. Most congregations are pretty close to 50-50. I mean, even in the most diverse congregations, I mean, it's 50-50 mix. This country is almost completely split, and the divide is so stark. I mean, and we're arguing one way or the other. So as far as how do pastors lead in now, that is a tough thing to do it effectively. Yeah. And I've been praying for pastors a lot over the last year and a half to be able to have the wisdom on knowing how and when to do it, to bring people together, because ultimately social media is not a great way to bring people together, other than the ease of communicating, but it's very difficult. And the pastor's role in social media is uneasy at best, and almost impossible at worst. So, so I just hope that all pastors who are seeing this, and conversations we have with our pastors, is that they take your advice and think through it and try to be as wise as possible.